Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
Dan Schierl of D-Neenah is a Democratic candidate in the 55th Assembly District. The election is November 3. Dan, welcome back to WisconsinEye.
Thank you very much for having me on here. I feel honored to be here again.
Well, now you have said that your biggest issue is that our politicians don't listen. What's the number one issue that you've seen this reflected in?
When I call my representatives and I call them out on issues I think are important to most people and the working class people here, I usually get a no response, or if I get a response, it's a written, canned response that really doesn't say anything. As a representative, I want my representative to tell me where he stands on issues, and they just kind of backflew all the issues, and they don't really stand on anything except party lines.
What's the number one issue that you think they ignore? I'm going to push you on this a little bit. Specific.
Yep. Specific, I think it was right to work, Act 10. Those are issues.
Let's be clear. You want to repeal you want to go back to right to work.
Yes.
And what do you want to do with Act 10?
I would like to repeal some of that because that's important issues to our public workers. Right now, they don't have a voice in what their workplace is or safety. So we need to get back to people having a voice in their workplace, and we don't have that anymore. So that's my issue.
Okay. And I see from your campaign website that you support the governor's plan for a People's Commission to draw the next set of congressional and legislative districts, right?
Yes, 100%. Right now we have such a gerrymandered district, and I'm going to go back to Professor Whitford. He had a lawsuit against the state involving that, and it kind of died in session, or somewhere it died. And I think it's important that we have maps that are drawn by an independent commission that give fair elections to all of the representative people, because you and I should be able to run in any district that we live in and have a very good chance to win. And in these gerrymandered districts, what they did is they took out individuals like the Democrats, and they made it impossible for them to win. In the 55th, it's one of those gerrymandered districts that are really bad. The 56th is really crazy. It's to the north of me, all the way the eastern section, and it actually comes down behind me. It's like a big C. And how can you represent those people fairly and evenly? So, and you have the 57th district, which is winnable by a Democrat anywhere, because it's packed with Democrats, and it's not a fair process.
Okay, let's talk about some other issues.
Sure.
The issue of policing reforms has played out nationally and in Kenosha over the last 3-4 months. There's different plans out there. The governor has 9 bills. Senator Weingart has 8. The speaker is going to form a task force. What specific policing reforms do you think need to be enacted, sir?
I think we need to look at how our training is. I think we have almost militarized our police. We have confrontations that escalate too quickly. And, these are all issues that I think we need to address. Black Lives Matter is a issue out there, and that's really pushed a lot of this to the forefront. Why can't we have more training? We need to learn how to de-escalate, not escalate the situation right away.
Okay, we're going to jump around on issues here.
Sure.
States around Wisconsin legalize medical and recreational marijuana. What's your position?
I support legalized marijuana, totally. And I'll give you the reasons why. Medically, it's a real easy answer. I think there's many uses we could do to make people's lives better. It has shown, if you do some researches on it, it has not, I don't know if it's been actually proven, but I know people who say that taking Rick Simpson oil has cured some of their cancer. Whether I can say that or not, but I know it helps people with epilepsies and things like that, seizures. Legalizing it for recreational use, you would be surprised how many people actually use cannabis. They all do it. And why not bring it above ground, regulate it, tax it? We could use that money to do so much in our state, especially during this pandemic, because we're going to have a shortfall in our budget. I'm sure we will. What are we going to do? We need to do something.
Well, okay, let's pursue that. If we didn't collect, I'm making up a number, $1 billion in tax collections because of the pandemic, and
Correct.
You're a legislator, would you opt to raise taxes and fees or cut spending?
I think we cannot do either. I think we need to find programs that don't work. Raising taxes, I think, is unacceptable because people are not, they don't have all that income anymore. Look at how many people have lost their jobs to COVID or whatnot. Lowering them, you're not going to do that. How can you can just increase the budget shortfall. So I think we need to find ways to find programs and at least temporarily cut them back. I think there's a lot of programs that are good programs that we could probably cut for a short period of time.
Well, can I ask you, can you name one?
That's a good question.
Well, if I've got another question, if
Sure.
nothing immediately comes to mind. The governor's emotional order, statewide face mask edict,
Yes.
that expires on the 28th of September. Should that be continued?
I believe we should go along with it a longer period of time until we keep this COVID under control. We have spiking numbers up and down in our state. I see no reason why we can't wear a mask to protect the people around us, especially our elderly, our people that with underlying conditions. This is something we need to do just as a society for the good of all people. It's nothing that's going to hurt anyone. I don't see a reason why not to. So I would just say yes.
Hospitals, Wisconsin and across the nation, have been in the forefront of treating COVID-19 patients. If you're a legislator voting on the next state budget, should hospitals get an even greater priority than they may have in the current budget, Dan?
I believe we need to support those hospitals. To what extent, I'm not sure yet, but we need those hospitals for the betterment of our society. We have this pandemic going on, and I would surely look at increasing it as a temporary basis. I think we have to, in our budget, we have to do a lot of temporary things until we know what is going to be the long-term effect of this virus.
There's another pandemic issue. State Senator Chris Kapping just introduced a bill, and here's what it says. If you're a business or an organization and you followed your COVID-19 protocols to protect your patients, your customers, or your employees, you could not be sued over COVID. Do you support this bill?
I think I would have to agree with that. I think it's a bill that needs to be done. If you're going to go out in the world and you're doing everything possible, how do you know where you got it? Maybe you stopped somewhere and got it from a different place. You really don't know where you're going to get that virus or how you get it. It's got an incubation period of 14 days. It could be anywhere that you picked it up. So yeah, I don't see why we have frivolous lawsuits. I don't know how you would prove it.
Let's talk about property taxes because Wisconsin is a high property tax state. Because of that, local government, schools and local cities, towns and villages and counties have been living under caps and limits on what they can levy in property taxes for more than 20 years. My question is, should those caps and limits on property tax levies be continued?
I will tell you that I think we should cap them yet. I've talked to my townships. I've talked to my city of D-Neenah here, and they all could use some more money to fix their roads. The infrastructure needs to be updated. But I don't think people can afford higher taxes. And I think we need to hold the line on things. You know, everybody talks about fiscally conservative Republicans. You know, there's also fiscally conservative Democrats. If you don't have that money, you can't spend it. Why would you need to find ways to make it work in the short time period. This budget and maybe next year is going to be so messed up. I think we need to as a legislative, Republicans and Democrats alike, find a way to keep the system going until our economy starts to produce more revenue. It's pretty simple, you know?
If the state budget is going to be, using your term, messed up, here's my question. To reduce the reliance on property taxes, should local governments like your city of Neenah, should it have new revenue options to perhaps pass a referendum and levy its own city of Neenah half-cent sales tax? Do local governments need new revenue options?
If that's important to the city of Neenah or the town of Clayton, I don't see any problem with referendums. It gives the people a voice. If you have a referendum that people say, we're not going to have any more taxes, well, then I think you need to do that. But to give the people a voice is probably the most important thing I think we can do for our citizens.
Last year, Governor Evers recommended raising our gas tax. It's now 30.9 cents a gallon. Hasn't been raised in more than 10 years to stabilize how we pay for highways and bridges. Could you vote to raise the gas tax?
I would say yes, because there is, if you look at the price of gasoline and our sales tax and all that stuff added on there, we're one of the lowest in the world for taxes on that. The only one that's lower is Mexico, and they don't have any excise tax, I believe. So we have a really low. We could use that money to fix our roads. When I go biking down the road, I have to watch out where I'm riding because there's potholes big enough to swallow me and my bike, and that's not right. This isn't. We are going back to gravel roads in some parts of our district, and I think, wow, are we going back to buggy and horse days? We used to have roads that were better than Alaska. I was up in Alaska 3 years ago, and the roads up there are actually better than they are in Wisconsin. So I think it's appropriate. We could raise that taxes on the excise or on the taxes on the gas. I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Another question with local governments. When local governments and school districts want to approve a major public works project, should they have to give a preference to Wisconsin businesses?
Yes. It keeps our economy going stronger in Wisconsin. It keeps the revenue here. It keeps our local governments going stronger. That money is spent in-house. And as long as we can spend that money in-house, we will be a better Wisconsin.
I want to ask you about another major issue of yours. On your campaign websites, you say you would like to lead a charge for a federal constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. Why is this such a high priority for you, sir?
My wife and I have been working on this for about 7 years. We've gone to Neenah, Menasha, Town of Clayton, Town of Fox Crossing, I believe, and there was one other one I can't remember right offhand. And we got a referendum put on the ballot for, do you support ending Citizens United and get the money out of politics? Right now we have a process where big dark money can flow into any campaign and pretty much legalize bribery. And it's happening in this District 55 this time. And it's really hit close to home. So we need to end legalized bribery. Winnebago County is also going to be having a referendum vote this November 3rd, I believe, and asking the citizens of Winnebago County, do you support getting the big money out of politics? And all these places have done this in many parts of the state. They have overwhelmingly passed. It's passed by 70, 80, and I think in some places 90% of the people say money is not free speech. We need to overturn Citizens United. So we need a certain amount of states. I believe it's 37. I haven't talked on this issue for quite a while, so I don't quote me totally, but I think it's 37 states to open the Constitution of the United States and say money is not free speech. We need to limit it.
Well, if you believe that money is that corrupting, what limits are you putting on donations to your own campaign? Who have you not taken money from and won't take money from?
I won't take money from dark money. And that's like dark money. I don't know how else to explain it. I've taken some of the limits, $1,000 limits people can do to my campaign. And I believe all that money has come from in-state, from local unions, that have people working in my district. They're the ones they're supporting me in my bid for this election. So I feel okay taking that money. And last time I didn't take anything more than $200, and I still got 45% of the vote. But this time I need to do a little different campaign because of COVID. You know, I've been out knocking doors a few times, but I don't feel it's really, really good to be out there so much.
Okay. Then final question. This is an open seat. What are the differences between you and your opponent?
I will bring life experiences to this seat. I was a union representative, and I did 5 different contracts with our companies, and they were good contracts for the workers, and they were good for the company. So unions have bad name, but you trust me, the workers need to be somehow represented. And you have a give and take. And I like to do this presentation. You have the Republicans here, you have the Democrats here, and they're going like this now. We don't have any of this. We need to get back to negotiating, sitting down, find out what's our differences, and figure out where we can agree on things. And we need to reach across the table. So I think all my years of experience and lifetime experiences do make a difference. And I'm not going to say anything bad about my opponent. She speaks for herself, and the people can look her up and see where our differences is.
Dan Schierl of D-Neenah is a Democratic candidate in the 55th Assembly District. Dan, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Take care. Have a good day, sir.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.